Namaskar and good evening to one and all. Devi Sajno, Namaskar. I am Ranjit Kumar from courtkachari.com in this mega event. As a host of this webinar, I am pleased to welcome our chief guest today, Sri R.K. Handa, Patron Chief Dr. Sri R.K. Anand, distinguished panelist Dr. Anurag Deep and Sri Atul Srivastava, convener Sri Vikash Anand, and legal Sanam Siddiqui, great scientists, academicians, and a wonderful audience. It gives me immense warmth and great pleasure to grace all of your presence in the interest of the entire organizing committee. Before I go any further, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to all of you, sincerely committed to this event to make it a success. This workshop would not have been possible without the generous support of each and everyone from across the country as well as abroad. The topic of discussion for today's webinar is Narcotic Control Bureau and NDPS Act. Through this webinar, we would like to engage with all of you distinguished participants in an open and constructive dialogue. I am very clear and audible to you all.
Yes, please.
Let us now proceed with this webinar so that we can hear a speech on the subject from our eminent and versatile legal scholars and professionals. Now invite our patron and chief, Dr. Sri R.K. Anand, to inaugurate this unique webinar and allow it to start. Let us all welcome him with a warm and applause. Dr. Sri R.K. Anand. Yes, sir, you are there.
Namaskar and a very good evening to all the participants joining today's webinar. We all know that today's webinar is on the topic of NCB and NDPC Act. We have participants joining this webinar across India and abroad as well. courtkachari.com's legal program and webinar series is an initiative by us to contribute our responsibilities towards further enriching our old age legal profession. Dear friends, we all know that the deadly COVID-19 outbreak has stopped everything, including how we engage with our network. So our team members have been regularly using this online platform for engagement with the fellow members during the crisis. We thought of leveraging our strength and our connects with the brilliant minds of legal profession to bring amazing insight to the members and gladly extending it to everyone participating in this webinar. We have today chosen a very hot and burning topic, which is the talk of the day for this webinar, that is NDPC Act and the role of the NCB. Focusing on the professional and academic need of the participants for providing them with the tools to have better research on NDPC Act, we have chosen this topic today. We hope today's brilliant and seamless deliberation by all the speakers and participants will be very relevant and helpful to all of us. Thank you very much, and I pass it on over to Mr. Ranjit Kumar to take this webinar further for today's events.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Your tireless efforts and dedication to the legal faculty of India, especially to modernize it, is an inspiration and talent for all of us. The challenge that in such a large galaxy, which holds within it approximately 20.30 lakh of legal experts and about 5 lakh students, bringing about a digital research platform and making it available to every legal expert is a huge place and effort. And we accord our thanks to you. Now, before we start our session, let us see a small documentary on the evolution and history of NDPS Act and Narcotics Control Bureau. With the advent of the World War II, there was a rise in the availability of recreational drugs and their consumption. This could largely be attributed to a number of factors. Firstly, a large section of the world population was subjected to psychological problems of a wide variety. This could be seen in the number of war veterans who seemed to face a post-war crisis of existence filled with a void and emptiness. This could have been fueled by the fact that this period saw rising levels of unemployment due to demand-supply disproportionalities. For example, there was an increase in Western tourists to certain third world countries where specific substances are indigenous. The phenomenon has become graver in India over the years, where the number of drugs users has increased rapidly. The problem is multidimensional, as drug use is of correlated with other offenses such as organized crime and human trafficking, along with health hazards like HIV/AIDS. The need for legislation was recognized by the British through the enactment of the Opium Act of 1857, which was followed by another legislation of the same name in 1878. The desire for an all-encompassing legislation was only fulfilled in the 20th century with the Dangerous Drug Act of 1930. These enactments, however, were far from perfect, as they were not equipped to tackle drug as in a holistic manner. Another issue was that of effectiveness, as they provided for meager punishments which could not serve as a sufficient deterrent for habitual offenders. In India, the National Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act is born with its enactment by President Gyani Jail Singh in 1985. The Act classifies drugs into small, less than commercial, and lists punishments based on this classification. The enactment includes substances obtained from nature such as marijuana, along with narcotic and psychotropic drugs. For example, Section 8 of the Act explicitly prohibits the cultivation of opium, poppy, coca, or cannabis plants, as well as the production, manufacture, distribution, including warehousing, transport, purchasing, and selling of prohibited drugs and psychotropic substances. It also prohibits their financing as well as consumption and harboring offenders guilty under the Act. The level of punishment depends not only on nature but also in quantity, with a sentence extending as long as 20 years and a fine as much as it was 2 lakh. The Act, however, came under a lot of criticism for the inclusion of the death penalty in case of repeat offenders if the quantity of drugs exceeded a certain threshold. This was, however, clarified with an amendment in 2014, which established that regardless of its presence as a substitute to other offences, the application of the death penalty is not mandatory. To reduce the burden on the session court, matters involving an offence are heard by a special court. This has been made possible through an amendment in 1989, which paved the way for the establishment of special courts for the expeditious resolution of disputes. Although this legislation is essential and was the need of the hour when it was drafted, if it is not without its shortcomings. The Narcotics Control Bureau was created on 17th March 1986 to enable the full implementation of the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act 1985 and fight its violation through the Prevention of Illicit Traffic in Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act 1988.
Picking up from the speech of our chief guest, Mr. R.K. Handa, and Mr. R.K. Handa, the stature, it doesn't require any kind of introduction, as we all know in the fraternity of legal world in India, that is such a gigantic person. And he is having a standing of 41 years at bar. He was enrolled as advocate in 1979. He was the first advocate appointed as a standing counsel for CBI in Punjab and Haryana High Court in 1989, and remained as such since 1998. He also remained as Additional Advocate General of Punjab. He worked as a additional public prosecutor in Union Territory Chandigarh for High Court in criminal side. He was also appointed Special Public Prosecutor CPI and prosecuted case of Beant Singh assassination case, former Chief Minister of Punjab. He prosecuted case against Bibi Jagir Kaur for murder. He prosecuted ex-minister, MLA, ICE officer, DIG, BSF, DSPs and other in sex scandal case of Srinagar, Jammu and Kashmir. He is presently standing counsel of DRI Ludhiana, region Punjab. He is Special Public Prosecutor NIA and prosecuted case of Samjhauta train blast case, which was going from Delhi to Atari border of Pakistan and which came into limelight. So over to our chief guest today, Sri R.K. Handa.
Good evening, Mr. Anand.
Thank you.
Other guests who have joined the web. I would like to say my association with Mr. Anand is since 1984-85, relates back to it. And we have since then, our meeting was in relation to the legal matters. And now we are such a old friends, and on the legal side, we have been meeting and become the old good friend, personal friends as well. I'm thankful to Mr. Dr. Anand for giving me the opportunity to say a few words on the objects and the reasons of the NDPS Act and the Narcotic Control Bureau. I would like to give you the first few backgrounds why this NDPS Act has been required. what were the reasons for bringing this legislation. Prior to that, in India, there was the Opium Act, as has been stated in the introduction, 1985, and then it's in the 1858. And there was also the Dangerous Drugs Act, 1930. These were all during the time the Britishers' rule was there and the enactment was being made. Under the Opium Act, the punishment was not so stringent. It is up to 1 year for the first offender, and it could be increased to the further, if the revision is there, then up to 3 years. And similarly, in the Drugs Act, Dangerous Drugs Act, the maximum punishment was up to the 3 years. It was during that time when these enactments were made. It is the society that the large scale of drugs trafficking was not there at all. It was not that dangerous to the human society and the life in the country and the world. Subsequently, during the conventions, when the country was growing, world was growing, in 1961, the first convention on the narcotic drugs was held, and it was decided that the use of the narcotic drugs is increasing tremendously in the world, all the world countries, and it is being trafficking and the international trade is going on. So this is to be curbed down. While curbed down, then it is again the 71, the convention was held for the psychotropic substances also, that they should be curbed and some stringent measures should be taken to save this drug menace in the world. What was the requirement? What was the important? What was the mind of the people in the convention? I would like to share with you. This drug was mainly destroying the youth of the world. The youth of the countries, individual countries, were being destroyed. They were addicted to the drugs, and they were becoming a useless stuff. When you are addicted to the drug, you deviate from your normal life. You cannot lead that. You cannot think perspective. If the perception of thinking goes, the development of the country goes. That is the reason in the United Nations, it was decided that the youth of the countries and the world should be protected. Youth is the assets of the country and they must be protected. For the growth of the country, the youth is the assets. Taking into consideration this 1985, the NDPS Act was formulated, which has come into the force in 1986. Stringent measures were taken. The punishment was enhanced from minimum 10 years, and the fine is 1 lakh. It goes up to the life imprisonment. And subsequently, in Section 31A was introduced, where the death penalty was also been introduced for the habitual offenders on the large scale who are doing in the trafficking and the international trafficking, importing, exporting in the large scale and damaging the society, fiber of the society. Thereafter, when it was being introduced, because the legislation has also knew about it, that this is the stringent measures, and there should be care for it, because this is not to be misused. Stringent measures were taken. The recovery is also to be effected before the magistrate or the gazetted officers. The accused may be made aware the rights from whom it will be searched. So these are some measures that have been taken. And when the accused was arrested, then there was another restriction was there that he would not be granted bail. Under Section 37, the 2 conditions were to be imposed. First, the public prosecutor must be heard. And the second, the court must come to the conclusion that he is not likely to have committed the crime. He is not guilty of the crime. So these are the facts, measures which have been taken in the NDPS Act to curb the movement of the drugs and the psychotropic substances in the society. The objects and the operation of the Entry Act is a special enactment, but it is not a complete code. It deals with this enactment because Section 42 of the NDPS Act authorizes the person of the different departments of Government of India, from the police, from the custom, from the narcotic offences, and from the central government central agencies of the BSF and the other agencies can be nominated as the officer to be carry out the investigation under the NDPS Act. And the state police is also entitled to further investigation and register the cases under the NDPS Act. So these are the major powers, and while exercising the power, the officers of the because the police officer is in charge of the police station. For that, there is no difficulty. But when the nominated officers are being investigating the case, which has been on the information they have received, they have been given the charge that under Section 53, they will be given the charge that they will be assumed the status of the SHO of the area in which they are investigating the case. This matter was going on; it is being now prosecuted. Earlier, there were certain conditions which were to be adhered, but it was not, and the benefits were being given to other personal search also, Section 50 and other. But that subsequently, the act is being diluted by the court. They were giving the interpretation. Sometimes the custody officer is not required if it is a chance recovery, and so forth and so forth. With the result, the present act was also being misutilized by the officers of the police and the authorities against their own whims and abuse of the power. Now I will come to regard to when the NCB was created. NCB was created for the purpose specialized agency for the controlling of the drugs, because India became the hub of the drugs. For the transit, it has become the transit country for the receiving from the neighboring country and sending it towards the Europe and other countries of the world. And taking into consideration that this narcotics are being very much in use and in circulation, so hence in the government of India has a special narcotic bureau was constituted to handle with the situations. But as I looked into it, the Narcotic Control Bureau manual also, and the power which has been given under the NDPS Act, still there are some gray matters, and I have my own conviction. It is not a complete code. Why? There are two sets of the officers in the empowered to do the investigation. One, the police officers. They follow the law of the CRPC, the Evidence Act, and registering of the FIR. Or even the FIR could be registered on the source information. But when the matter is being investigated by the NCB officials, although they have got the powers under the NDPS Act to call them the persons under Section 42, they can also arrest the person, visit the premises, search and seizure has been made, and also seize the contraband, and also summon the person who have been aware about the case, record their statement under Section 67. But some provision of the CRPC is being incorporated under the various sections of the NDPS Act, like 36A, BC, and 37. And it is also being said that the CRPC would be applicable if it is not derogatory to the general provision, special provision of the NDPS Act. If you are investigating the matter, you are arresting the person on the basis, because till that time you have got the only information which has not been registered, and you invoke the Section 162 CRPC for his remand, police remand, and for judicial custody. I put a question here. I fail to understand, because if you are not a police official, you are not registered the case, you have taken the remand, police remand, then you are not supposed to comply with the provision of the other provisions of the Evidence Act. Are not the section 25 to 27 of the Evidence Acts are applicable? Is not that you are acting as a police officers and the confession or the any statement made in the custody or before the police officers is not admissible. These are the areas which require relook of the case of the act. You cannot say that these are the statement made before that is admissible. If I say NDPS Act talk about the two agencies mainly, police as well as the National Control Bureau, Customs and others. If you have no authority to abide by the Evidence Act, then you have no authority. If you are not abide by the CRPC, you have to follow the CRPC entirely. Then you cannot have the custody of the accused under the 167. If you take the custody under 167 CRPC, then you are bound by the other provision of the Act. The consequences which follow the safeguards of the accused are to be followed. Here, there is no safeguard. Here, in the latest Supreme Court, also when they come to the statement in the 2020, they said that once you come to, although there is a reference has been made to the by the Supreme Court to know on the subject whether the narcotic drug officers are come under the ambit of the police officers or not, and the reference has been made in the Tofan Singh's case, which is to be answered. But latest the Supreme Court also said that although it is a confession, but if it to have to see whether this confession is a voluntary confession, whether there is a linking, whether it covered, because even if confession it cannot be used as a substantive piece of evidence, and the conviction cannot be based on the basis of the confession of the accused. It could be only you have to corroborate this evidence with the other evidence, independent evidence collected during the investigation. Now the question is whether the other evidence is required, whether the confession, whether this confession is a legally admissible confession. It is not before the magistrate as recorded under section 164, and the power under this dual power cannot be given. You cannot create a true system in the one enactment. When the police also register the case, investigate, they follow. If they record the statement of the accused, is not admissible. If similarly the investigation with regard to drugs, if the NOC officials are record the statement, then become admissible. How it could be under the one statute? That's why I say the statute requires a relook from this angle. And in the criminal jurisprudence, the statement of the accused during the investigation of one accused is not admissible qua the other accused. It can be useful for the purpose of the investigation. You can take the lead from that statement for the investigation, and you have to collect the independent evidence for that. Otherwise, what is the need of the investigation? You can bring the accused, give him the 3rd degree and record his statement, send him for the conviction. What is the investigation? What is the purpose of investigation? What is the investigation, the quality of the investigation? So these are the things which required. And I would like to share some data. In the parliament, when the question in the 2016 was also put in, okay, how many cases have been registered in the country under the NDPS Act? And in 2015, the total number of cases which has been registered was 59,796, and 59,625 persons were arrested, and 49,256 cases are end up into convictions. And out of these 50,000, in Punjab state, the NDPS cases were 10,159. And in Maharashtra, during the 2015, it was 18,979. And the person arrested during the 2015 in Punjab were 12,171 and 8,917 were the convictions, the person who were convicted. And similarly, in the Maharashtra, 19,996 persons were arrested and 10,793 were convicted. Likewise, in 2016, the figure literally reduced. It has gone to the 49,256 in the all over India. And in Punjab, it is 5,906. Whereas in the Maharashtra, it was 14,590. In the 2019, I got some data of the Punjab where 11,536 cases were registered. And out of in the total country, 72,779 cases were registered. And in Maharashtra, 14,158 cases were registered. And in the Bathinda district in the 2018, 3,998 cases were registered by the police. And 2019, in Punjab, 11,536 cases were registered, and out of this, 4,002 cases were registered in the one district of Bathinda itself. But in 2020, as we all know, is a sad year, but pandemic year, it's a blessing in disguise for these cases. 2009, because of the spread of the nakas of the police all over and the people's movement were restricted, the circulation and trafficking of the drugs has been restricted. It has reduced. In Chandigarh, in the 8 months, as I got the data, in the 2016, in the first 8 months of the year, 144 cases were registered. 2017, 244 cases were registered in the Union Territory of Chandigarh. 2018, 167 cases. 2019, 226. And up to the August 2020, in Chandigarh, only 100 cases were registered. So this was some benefits drawn from the COVID restrictions. So what I'm trying to bring it, I have analyzed the special legislation to control the drugs and the narco drugs and the substances, but it has to be implemented truthfully. We have got, in my experience, I have got the cases which have been dealt by me. One where one of the innocent person was involved and the drugs were imposed upon him and that false recovery was shown. And he was convicted. Although he was not been produced before the district officer or the magistrate as required under the NDPS Act. But the inspector who was in charge, he got the information, he became the investigating officer, he filed the charge and was convicted. And subsequently it transpired, appeal is though pending, that the same inspector of the Punjab police was indulging into the drug trade. He was arrested, he was in connivance of the senior officers of the police, was indulging into it, and now the case has been registered and is in the jail. Like the mafia king of the DSP, there was a DSP also in the Punjab police who was a wrestler. He was also involved into this trafficking, and for the last 6-7 years he is in the jail. So when you have got the power and when you wanted to do the trading of the drugs, it becomes a very lethal combination. This also required to be checked. I'm not saying that they are misusing blatantly, but still these are required to be plugged. Even in the Narcotic Control Bureau, one of the officials who were heading at one time in Chandigarh, he was prosecuted for taking the drugs from the Malkhana of the NCB and disposing of in the market. He was by fudging the record that it has been destroyed. And he was caught prosecuted and was sentenced. So this is the, I say, how it is being misused by the authorities who are having the power. And NCB in the manual is silent about the taking of the custody of the accused and the taking of the remand, because it is a handbook of the manual of the department which guides the investigating officers of their branch or their office how they are to investigate the matter. What are their various steps are to be taken from step, how information, how recording of the cases, statement, and how the presentation of the plan recovery to be effected, what evidence will be collected. But it is silent about that, the custody of the accused to be taken and they have to be remanded. So they assume the power from the CRPC, but at the same time, they don't want to comply with the other provision of the CRPC. So this dual approach of this act, giving, telling the police official to comply with the CRPC, and when it comes to the NOC, then they say they need not to. That is wrong. You cannot have the two standards of the law in the one enactment. So, at taking into the circumstances, the present scenario now, the NCB is very much, as my earlier being said, it's the talk of the country now on the entire media and the newspaper, electronic media. NCB in the Bollywood narcotics, drugs, the high personalities, the celebrities are being involved. They have been arrested also. And I see that the power is being used in excessive way, because the law does not permit fishing and roving inquiry. What they are doing is they are not investigating the matter. They call the party, they take the phone, they take everything, and then they create the evidence. This is not the law for the investigation. You cannot make the create the offense, then say the offense is committed and you are liable. You have to independently see what offenses have been committed. You have to gather the independent evidence and then confront the. What they are doing is today they have caught one person and they are indulging into the past, not in the present. No recovery has been effected. You indulge in sometime so and so, you might have done it. What evidence you have done it? Where is the transactional evidence? Where is the money has been taken place? Where is the drug which has been taken place? No recovery has been effected. So this is how because our media, they need some masala so that every day they wanted that their channel should be have got the maximum TRP. Now taking the case of the Riya Chakravarti, I say the only at the most the section 27A could be invoked if you overstretch all the evidence that she has consumed or she was have consumed the drugs, although there is no evidence to that. And if that is to be accepted, the punishment is of the 1 year. And she should not be kept in the custody like this. And other sections, like what they are doing is invoking section 28, 29, as if she was the dawn of the drug mafia. She was running the business of drug mafia in a large scale with the warehouses, with the international importing and exporting the drugs. But there is no evidence. It is all conjectures. I personally feel sad the way the act is being misused. The authority of the investigators are not to that effect as they should have been done. We need some quality investigators. We need some quality investigations. I don't say, I don't propagate that the drug should not be curbed. It is good. No, at the first instance, I say it is destroying the youth of the country. And youth are the assets of the country. And no country can perhaps afford to destroy their assets of the youth, because the day the youth will be spoiled, the development of the country will become standstill. And we in this world, if you have to survive, you have to dwell. Without the development, the country cannot survive in this world. So at the same time, I say the authority must be of the conscious about this fact. They should be true to the investigation. Even the legislature should also relook into it, how the two powers can be granted in one statute for for the same kind of the offense to tackle it in a different investigations. So I conclude with this that it requires a relook, and even when the matter is also pending in the Supreme Court with regard to whether the NOC officials are the police officer or not should also be decided. And as per my own opinion, when they act as a police officer under the NPS Act. There is no deviation. If you read the entire act and the procedure, they are acting as a police officer. And I would also suggest, like the central agencies of the CBI, they also register the FIR. Although when sometimes the matter has been referred to them for the special crime, which are the already registered cases in the state, either by the state under Section 6 notification or on the order of the Honorable High Court or the Supreme Court of India, they re-register the case to have the identity what the FIR is there. On the same pattern, NOC should also register the case and should follow the procedure. That would enhance the quality of the investigation and also the ratio of the convictions of with the good quality. With this, I conclude my these views and the lecture, and I thanks for everybody who has been associated with it, and particularly Mr. Anand and members of the website. Thank you very much, and I hope it will be a little helpful, and you all bring out this issue that there should not be a two standard in the statute. That's right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you a great deal to elaborate on this act and being sharing your experience with us. Really, you are an institution in yourself. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now we are swinging into the full momentum of our session, and our next should be none other than Dr. Anurag Deep. Deep from in Ireland. Studies legal education.
मैं वो ठीक है मेरी फोटो कहाँ से आई
आपकी नहीं आई
ये नीचे की आ रही है
Since 2001 he has inaugurated case-based method of teaching in Hindi in Gorakhpur University. He is very actively engaged in free legal aid. He has worked with Oxford University Press and published in Cambridge University Press. He is the editor of 2 journals of ILI. He has been working with the ministries and government of India on projects and book writings. He has to his credit over 50 publications in Hindi and English. Hats off to you, Dr. Anurag. Thank you. Welcome, Anurag.
Thank you, Jha Saab. आदरणीय हांडा जी, आनंद साहब, आर.के. झा जी, organizers, other panelists, dignitaries, I again convey my thank you to everyone for inviting me to share my feelings and to organize this, which is far more important. We are aware that in media there is a sudden interest on this law. This law is available 1985. Occasionally we hear about it through some cases. But suddenly since last June onward, I would say, there is a sudden interest. And this is good. the developments in Mumbai regarding NDPS, there are two aspects. One is negative aspect, and that is the aspect of media trial, and that has to be condemned. That has to be condemned. And as Handa Sahab has rightly pointed out, that some of the accused are being treated as if they are kingpin. But who is the big fish? People hardly know. And the small fish are indeed projected as if they have done, maybe certainly there are wrongs and there are criminal cases, but the way media is doing it, extremely condemnable. That is first part of that. However, the silver lining is that because of this media, there is a discussion on NDPS, laws on NDPS, powers on NDPS, difficulties in NDPS. As Handa Sahab has, with great acumen, suggested, what are the problems? It is only because the media brought this case somehow, and they crossed the limit, but then the positive side is that we are now discussing. He also pointed out that because of COVID, there are some positive aspect, and one is that narcotic cases have been reduced. I would begin with that whether the Constitution of India has something to do with it. Very small reference. You know, I'm not a practitioner. Unfortunately, in India, teachers cannot practice like in USA. So I will try to give something which is more academic in nature. So the Constitution under Article 47, it talks about public health and says that to improve public health is the duty of the state. The active principles of the state policy, it is duty of the state. And it clearly says that the state shall endeavor to bring about prohibition of the consumption of intoxicating drinks and of drugs which are injurious to health. So NDPS is and similar laws indeed follow the command of the Constitution also, besides need of the society. So this is one article which is relevant here. Second article which is relevant is Article 47 is first. Second article relevant is Article 39. And as Jha Sahab has pointed out, and Handa Sahab has again pointed out,
That is line up.
that this drug problem, it is killing the young generation who are in class 10, class 12, in law colleges, in engineering colleges, in medical colleges, doing their BA, doing their MA. So this is not a problem of India, it's a global problem. That because some ruffian, some criminal want to get overnight rich, and therefore they engage in these type of trade and engage our children and our youth, for which the law is made. Now the youth and children is engaged because sometimes we are also to blame. We don't have time for them. There is a communication gap. At the same time, there are laws, number of laws, and very effective laws with subject to certain exceptions, as Handa Sahab has pointed out, but that is not being enforced. Now, I will come to the questions, what are the laws and what is the point that I want to raise. But before I go, I would just request everyone to think on 2 points, which Professor Bakshi has mentioned, that we have 2 types of things. One is CM and one is PM. CM is constitutional morality. PM is popular morality. Constitutional morality means we have to work as per the constitution and the spirit of the constitution. As per the constitution, what is written in the constitution. A spirit of the constitution is what is not written in the constitution, but that is a part of the constitution. For example, fair trial. It is not written in the constitution, but that is a part of the constitution under Article 21. Similarly, the word morality is used. That indicates everything cannot be legal. Media cannot be told it is appropriate, it is inappropriate. But out of this mad race of TRP, they are doing this worst thing of engaging in this out of the proportion, showing that as if the whole Bollywood is engaged in it, and that is creating great impact on everyone. Even good number of my friends in law, they have started believing, number one, that Sushant Singh has been murdered. No evidence, but say, sir, Sushant Singh has been murdered. No, there is something there. Arey bhai, we all are law people. Try to see some evidence. Similarly, see sir, ये जो top star है, you take any top star. अब इसका नाम भी आने वाला है सर. अब इसका नाम भी आने वाला है सर. इसके बारे में मीडिया ने कह दिया है. Such an insulting thing media is doing, and that is known as PM popular morality. So my first recommendation, my suggestion to this house is that let us stick to CM, that is constitutional morality, and not to be carried away by PPM, that is popular morality, because a law student, a lawyer, an advocate, an academician is different from all popular senses. So this is first thing that I want to just request everyone. Now, I will just academically discuss 3-4 cases that deals with NDPS. Jha Sahab has referred that death penalty provision was there. It was incorporated under section 31A of NDPS, and that was incorporated in 2001. The legislature thought that, okay, death penalty is required because this is increasing, the problem is increasing. So changing the law is one small way, but an easier way. Enforcing the law is a bit difficult, but that is has greater impact. But our lawmakers and those who execute, they are more inclined to making laws and laws and laws rather than focusing on how to enforce it. So the second point I would recommend is that when we talk to these people who are at the helm of affairs, be they political executive, be they civil executive, let us convince them that please consider on making new laws, that is okay, but make more and more emphasis on enforcement of law. Enforcement of law. There is some background music also, that is good. When there is a background music, things becomes very sometimes good. Thank you. So death penalty was there, but then Indian Harm Reduction Network case was decided by the Bombay High Court, which held that 31A violates Article 21, which has mandatory capital punishment. Capital punishment is not violative, but when there is a mandatory capital punishment, it violates. Means there is no other punishment but only capital punishment. And the case was that if a repeat offender is found, that is, an offender is already convicted under NDPS, and with commercial quantity he is found again, then capital punishment shall be given. केवल वही दंड दिया जाएगा, मृत्यु दंड. ऐसे ही प्रावधान, यू रिमेंबर मिठू सिंह का केस जिसमें 303 ऑफ आईपीसी में ऐसा ही प्रावधान था, इसी प्रकार का प्रावधान था. That was declared unconstitutional. I don't know, means when the framers were incorporating, why they did not take note of Mithu Singh, but anyway, and this was the fate of this 31A. On the line of Mithu Singh, again, 31A was declared unconstitutional on the basis of Article 21. But take note for all those who are her researchers, they should note that it was not declared violative of Article 14, and the provision was not declared unconstitutional. What the court has done, it has read into and said that shall will be read at may, so may be punishable by capital punishment. Second case that I would refer here is on section 32A. Section 32A was incorporated in 1989. What was this? Section 32A states that the remission provision or the provisions by virtue of which the state has power to commute a sentence, that will not be applicable in cases of NDPS. We all know that under section 432 of CRPC and 433 of CRPC, there are provisions for remission. मतलब कि अगर आचरण अच्छा है, जो कैदी व्यक्ति है उसे आचरण अच्छा है, तो उसको हम समय से पहले भी रिहा कर सकते हैं। जैसे मान लीजिए कि 10 साल की सजा है तो 8 साल में रिहा करते हैं। अगर लाइफ इम्प्रिजनमेंट है तो 14 साल के बाद फिर हम उसको रिहा कर सकते हैं। तो ऐसा जब हम करते हैं तो हम कहते हैं रिमिशन की पावर है, या फिर कम्यूट कर देते, दंड को कम कर देते हैं। 1989 में Parliament has incorporated 32A and held and stated that no, this will not be made applicable in case of NDPS. हुआ ये कि 1989 में इसको incorporate किया गया, but 1988 में a person named Budh Singh, he has committed a crime, and then he was punished, and then punishment was going on. Then he applied for remission कि भैया मेरी तो आचरण अच्छा है, मेरे पास मेरा रिकॉर्ड भी अच्छा है, प्लीज मुझे टाइम के पहले रिहा कर दीजिए, एंड प्लीज यूज योर पावर ऑफ रिमिशन अंडर सेक्शन 432. But when he applied, the law was enforced. So the problem was he has committed an offense in 1988. 32A was incorporated in 1989. So the problem was, should the law be applied prospectively or retrospectively? And it was a criminal law. So he argued that as it is criminal law, you cannot apply prospectively. You have to apply it. You cannot apply it retrospectively. You have to apply it prospectively. And because 1989 it was incorporated, an offense was committed prior to that, so this disability will not be not come in picture, and then remission provision can be applicable. Otherwise, it will violate Article 20, Clause 1. But the Supreme Court, in Budh Singh case versus State of Haryana, Budh Singh was State of Haryana 2013, it held that no, this is not so. Article 20, Clause 1 is applicable in a limited sense. What is that limited sense? Ex post facto law is applicable in limited sense. What is the limited? It applies in those cases where there is some punishment. It is not, it has not, this section 32A has nothing to do with punishment. It is not increasing a punishment. There is no application from back date regarding any punishment. It is just application of certain facility or a disability, and therefore Article 20 Clause 1 does not come in picture, and 32 Clause A, even if it was incorporated after the commission of the offense, it will be can be applicable from back date. And one of the reasons was that NDPS or narcotic drug is a very, very severe type of act. And there are two types of model we are aware involved. One model is known as crime control model, other is known as due process model. So crime control model says that we have to control the crime, and in order to control the crime, some of the benefit can be taken from the accused. And therefore, this benefit was taken from the accused, and the court has applied, Supreme Court has rightly applied a crime control model in cases of NDPS, which is really, really required because the whole issue of NDPS is so severe that such type of application was required. One of the latest case I would say is Nikesh Tarachand Saha versus Union of India. It was not on NDPS. It was on PMLA. So it was in Money Laundering Act, and constitutional validity of Section 45 of Money Laundering Act was under question. But NDPS Act 1985 came in picture. In NDPS Act also, the bail provision is stringent, and the bail provision says that if the drug is found in small quantity, then the manner of bail will be different. If the drug is found in commercial quantity, then the manner of bail will be different. In those cases, the bail probably cannot be granted. As rightly pointed out by learned speaker, that in RIA case, small quantity things are being found, not in big quantity, and therefore there are great chances that she will be or any other persons can also be given bail. So this discrimination was made. But in PMLA, the parliament has not taken note of this discrimination, and therefore the Supreme Court held that NDPS is better drafted than PMLA. Please draft PMLA in the line of NDPS. So this was just a passing reference of this. Final case that I will discuss is without which the discussion cannot be over is Noor Agha versus State of Punjab 2008. We all are aware that NDPS is a type of strict liability legislation. Section 35 talks about reverse onus clause, and not only the burden of proof shifts, but standard of proofs also change. In Noor Agha case, the court has number one upheld that reverse onus means the burden of proof shifts once the foundational facts are proved beyond reasonable doubt. So reverse onus clause is not unconstitutionally valid, and but it has given some liberty, some relief to accused, because it says the standard of proof applicable in criminal case shall always be beyond reasonable doubt, and if the accused has to prove, then accused has to prove on the basis of preponderance of probability. So this was on constitutional issue. I just want to conclude with the last case, and that case is Mohanlal case. And please bear with me, maybe 2 minutes more. Mohanlal is a very significant case, and that indicates why our law failed. If you want to know why the law failed, just read Mohanlal case of 2016. The case is decided by Justice Thakur, and this was a simple criminal case. And in this case, there was an acquittal of accused, and the case came to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has to define. Supreme Court had to decide whether the person is rightly acquitted or wrongly acquitted. This was the simple thing. But Justice Thakur, Chief Justice Thakur, was a very, very sincere and very sensible person. Very sensible person. He does not decide the cases as it is a type of formal business. Never. And we should be grateful to such type of Supreme Court judges who are very sincere, who think that this is not just passing a judgment, not just to deliver justice, but to see that the country also runs in the right manner, because Supreme Court is the guardian of the Constitution. What happened? So in Mohanlal case, it was found that person was acquitted. Why? Because the sample which was under question, that this person has used this type of sample, this type of drug, and the drug sample was doubtful. It was either lost or the sample was not of the manner that the law recognizes. So the court asked why this is so. Where is the sample which was preserved for the purpose of court proceeding? And the state has no answer. And then he suddenly noticed, then he made some inquiry. What happened? Where do you keep all sample? They said, sir, we keep all sample either in the court malkhana or we keep in the police malkhana. So they said that the police malkhana, so what is the problem? Why the sample is not available? Then he was informed, sir, police malkhana means everything is kept in that malkhana. Not only drug. If a pistol is found, pistol is kept. If a mobile is under question, mobile is kept. If certain medicine is under question, that is kept. If any other material is seized, everything is kept in one malkhana. So then he said that it means there is easy transaction in that malkhana. Yes, sir. Every day we open the malkhana, and in one corner these type of drugs we are keeping. So I said that in that case anyone can replace. There was no answer, and that was the fact. If some drug is there, kept there in order to produce as an evidence, anyone can go. Anyone means any police officer can go inside and just replace it, because it is kept with everything. So the court was surprised. You are keeping these all narcotic drug in one police malkhana. Then he issued notice to all the states. Please give me what is the detail. How do you keep it? And most of the states said, yes, sir, we are doing it. He was surprised, and everybody should be surprised. You keep every day in the police thana. So many things are brought in for the purpose of evidence, and you keep those things with narcotic drug. There is no separate place. He was also surprised to see there is no separate register. So he asked that what happened between 2002 to 2012. The case was initially filed in 2010. That is known as first Mohanlal case, and then second is 2016 was decided. Then in that case, it was informed that, sir, out of all the material, all the drug that is seized and that was kept in the police malkhana, only 16% could be disposed of. So the Justice Thakur asked, what happened to rest of the 84%? Means अगर 16% ड्रग जो है आप दिखा रहे हैं रिकॉर्ड पे कि डिस्पोज हुआ और 100 जो है होना चाहिए, तो बाकी 86 जो है 86 का क्या हुआ? तो then they were answered, and the question was, is that in the police malkhana? Said no, sir. It is not there in police malkhana. Police malkhana पे तो 40% के आसपास है. जितना ड्रग आया उसका 40% है. रेस्ट कहाँ गया? सर कुछ मिक्स हो गया, कुछ खराब हो गया, कुछ गायब हो गया, कुछ चोरी हो गया, कुछ ये हो गया. This is how we as a country with executive dealing with this type of serious issue. Every district, maybe there may be 1 2 exceptions, but most of the states, we are just we have just seen that we have expressed our concern for the young generation. And the police malkhana, I'm not talking about the drug which is being sold outside, because there is no control immediate. But the drug which is there in the police malkhana, that is kept like anything, and 86% drug is unrecorded. I don't say all 86% has been sold, but 30, 40, 50% has been sold out. Pilferage has been there. The Handa Sahab has just referred a Punjab case, that how a police person was involved in selling it from the police thana. That time, Justice Thakur has taken note of this case. Let me tell you, dear friend, this was not a public interest litigation, but he treated it as if it is a public interest litigation without mentioning it. Issued notice to all the states, while only one state was concerned, Punjab. And then 2012, he has framed 24 questions. कैसे सैंपलिंग होगी, कौन सीज करेगा, सैंपल जो होगा उसको कब डिस्ट्रॉय करेंगे, कौन डिस्ट्रॉय करेगा, एवरीथिंग. And in 2016, he has framed guidelines, judicial guidelines, mandatory guidelines. इसके पहले भी गाइडलाइन थी, but they were in haphazard fashion. सरकार एग्जीक्यूटिव कुछ कर रहे हैं, जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल सपोज मान लीजिए ड्रग कहीं से पकड़ा गया, उसकी सैंपलिंग कब होगी? एक ऑप्शन तो यह है कि हम तुरंत सैंपलिंग कर दें, जैसे पुलिस ने पकड़ा उसके सामने जो है किसी विटनेस को बुलाया, वहां सैंपलिंग कर दे. दूसरा ऑप्शन है कि नहीं, मजिस्ट्रेट के सामने सैंपलिंग होगी. States are doing the way they want. Executive order says that no, it will be done then and there. There is a section 52A that says that no, it will be done before the magistrate. The Supreme Court has now sent a guideline with the request to the government that कृपया इसको जो है आप थोड़ा remove करिए, जो confusion है. So I was just suggesting, dear friend, that every development has good opportunities and bad opportunities. This development of Sushant Singh followed by Ria, there are two types of development: negative development and positive development. Let us go with positive development, and the organizer of courtkachari.com deserve all kudos, all appreciation for taking up this matter and bringing it to public light and to discuss with all what is NDPS, what is the problem with NDPS. A lot of things can be said, but I have indeed crossed my time. I was just given 10 minutes. I've spoken here almost for more than 17, 18 minutes. I'm very sorry for crossing it. Thank you again. Thank you, Agnaja. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for a patient listening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot to you. You were lost in your speech. It's like you could hear you more and more, but we have the time constant, and really, so far, we have pondered a lot on the odds of NDPS acts. Like the incidents which are going on in the NCB Mumbai, and then after witch hunts being carried out, all these things has put all the lawmakers, law abiders, and law scholars on the back foot, and to rethink about this NDPS act and to recorrect it if you could. So that's the reason this kind of consultation and deliberation have begun on the national level, and really it has fallen in line with the acts like Dodi Act, which we really must talk about, and it was being misused. And in the same line, this NDPS Act seems to be being misused as a tool to tarnish the image of certain people. But then we have to address the reason also, the way the drug is eating up the soul and society of our country, the way the money being drained out through it, causing the loss to our exchequer. It demands our attention on it, and how to recorrect it and how to make it better. Now, we have the next speaker in Shri Atul Srivastava. Atul Kumar Srivastava. He was selected as Assistant Public Prosecutor and Director of Prosecution Delhi through UPSC in 1999. He has experience of 20 years of working in prosecution department. You are now working as Assistant Public Prosecutor. He dealt many important cases of Delhi, including Uber taxi rape case, Danish woman gang rape. In both these cases, not only conviction but maximum sentence was awarded to all accused, and his work was not only appreciated by police but also by the court. So now we call upon Shri Atul Kumar Srivastava to deliver his speech. Shri Atulji.
Thank you very much for calling me and giving this opportunity. But I know the way I'm going to present it, I'm going to have a bombarding from Handa sir. I'm sure because I'm a public prosecutor, I'm a typical public prosecutor, I would say. I know, sir, Handa sir.
You know, public prosecutor is none else than the friend of a court. You are
Yes,
not
sir.
against the accused.
No, I'm not against the accused. I know
I remain public prosecutor for many years, but I always used to say, when the investigators, if you are wrong, I must tell you are wrong.
So that is the reason why the 301 is still there. The public prosecutor, they have the, I would say, the greater responsibility, not towards the accused or the rather, they represent and they're the agent of the justice. And I have delivered the lecture before the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel Police Institute also, the role of public prosecutor in the criminal trial. So if anything has been left even by the accused, then it becomes the duty of the public prosecutor, rightly pointed out the Handa sir, to point out to the court, because we represent
we can travel beyond the 161 statement.
Right, sir. Sir, but at the same time, so far we all have criticized, I'm so sorry, excluding me because I have not started, about the Ria case. Sir, I would like to remind all of you that this case, there's a strict liability. The consumption itself is penal. And since the consumption itself is a penal, so excuse of law cannot be an ignorance of law. I'm so sorry, ignorance of law cannot be excuse. The celebrity, the many persons are there, they are doing, because the media is the fourth pillar of this democracy, they are pointing out to the other person. I will take in other side also, sir. So through this thing also, we are in, because we all are in the agreement of one thing. This is a silent killer. This very use of narcotic drugs and psychotropic substance is at increase rather than is a many-fold increase, sir. Sir, still I remember when we were at our time, because I'm almost like a 49, 50. So if any person is just smoking, then they should go to the bathroom first. They would just inhale something, and thereafter they will come out. But the society has changed. If you go to any party, even as a party of some good class people, then you will find the hookahs are already there. Hookah bars are there. Even the young people, even the toddlers, they are using this hookah. So still, I remember at our time when some of the person is smoking, if some teachers or even a uncle of nearby places come, forget about the real chacha or papaji or pitaji, babuji or dadaji. So if a person is having a cigarette, the immediate reaction would have been like this. But nowadays, what is happening? Because happening, it is almost, you are just giving this thing that cigarette pina हानिकारक है, cancerous हो सकता है, but real, this is just a picture on a place which is not being seen. But now, if media is showing it, so you should take it other way, because it will give a good, I would say, suggestion and some I would say the warning to the people. If you are going to consume it even for once, you will be held liable, sir. And now, since it is a strict interpretation and has to be given, and a strict liability is there, then the person who are using is a role model. I also want to become Salman Khan. I also want to become as popular as the other filmy heroes are there. The people are following them, maybe in their style, maybe their style of living or some chain, etc., etc. So it would be an lesson to them. It will be some side guidance to them. Don't step into in this thing, otherwise you will be in trap. So I will take it otherwise. Sir, Anurag ji had just taken you are not catching the big fish. Rather, yeah. Sir, Handa Saab, since has represented many cases, I have come to know also, and as otherwise also I know, as a prosecutor, we have argued many cases. Right now, we have been arguing that very Tablighi Jamaat case also. This is a daily only where we have been able to and successful in getting them charged. So that had been challenged, and now it is fixed for the 6th, sir. So what the charge law on charge says, it is the coordinate bench judgment says that if we have been able to prove there is a strong suspicion, on the basis of the strong suspicion also, charges can be framed. So charges is the third or fourth stage, I would say. The first is some FIR, then investigation, then charge sheet, then cognizance, thereafter the stage of charges come. So what my summation is, what the wrong NCB has done, what wrong has been done by the NCB, because it is, sir, from the what is I could see only, or the media also, though I'm not representing or advocating as for the NCB, but there was a strong suspicion. There was some maybe rumor, but there was some suspicion, something was there that clearly suggests that there is a smuggling, or there is a trafficking of the, and there is a random usage of the narcotics things. So that was to be washed out. That was to be cleared whether there is any some basis or in it or not. So investigation was compulsory. Now, sir, what I could see only through the media, some persons are there. They are being sponsored. They are being, I would say, they are in touch with such person, role models. If Sir Handa Saab is there, Sir Handa Saab has to act or present themselves in the society so that he may be followed. So I would say that you all.
No, what I'm trying to say, I'm not saying the NCB should not do the investigation. What I'm trying to say is the pattern of the investigation. You being a prosecutor, you also know it. What is the legal admissible evidence? And you know, yes, when the Jains Wala case, the coding of the AKL, Advani Saab and others, they said it's a written hearsay, Supreme Court said.
Sir, investigation. Sir, investigation is going on. Sir, investigation is going on. In between, we are not supposed to make any comments, sir. So let it be come out. And if investigation is starts, that as you know, sir,
I said investigate. I
it's a
said collect
journey.
the quality evidence.
Obviously,
Before, I
sir.
mean, penalizing the
It's a
people.
good suggestion. It's a good suggestion for them. But the NCB is which has come, sir. This NDPS has come into existence and came into force on 14th of November 1985, and then 17th March 1986 is the date on which this NCB has come into existence. So it's a top apex coordinating body of the central government to coordinate it. So their purpose is intelligence. So intelligence has to be there if they have some connection with the illegal trafficking also. Sir, right now you have said that 27A. 27A entails the provisions of 10 years punishment also, sir. And that very rigor of 37. Just now, PMLA was being discussed. I have represented many cases on behalf of Delhi Police at different places also, in the Makuka also. Sir, Makuka, then NDPS, then this all the PMLA. Now PMLA is no more there. So these things are a strict thing as a, but it is not for all. It is not for all the sections. It is only for 27A, 19 and other sections are there. So a strict thing. So now prior to, I'm so sorry to say, okay, I'm no one to comment the legislation, but prior to 2001, Heere ki chori and Khire ki chori, there was no such differences. Even if you are found with a 1 gram or 10 gram of things or the gaja or something, so the equal punishment was there. But after the legislation has come with the amendment of the 3 terms, the small quantity, intermediary quantity and commercial quantity. Now, if you are involved in the commercial quantity, then obviously 37 would be there and you will be dealt with a maximum punishment. Then intermediary quantity and a small quantity. In all the small quantity, though in the caption itself, the title itself, all the offences are cognizable and non-bailable. But if you go by the other things, the Delhi High Court has, Honorable Delhi High Court has just decided all the offences of the small quantity with the bailable offences, sir. So now, if a person in a trap, and if it's usual, now there is a provision of 64A. How many persons are applied for 64A? If I'm an addict, so the social responsibility of the government is also to rehabilitate, because our judicial system, the punishment system is a reformatory system, sir. Sir, in NDPS itself, there is a provision of section 64A, which says if the person offers himself for de-addiction, then conviction cannot be given to them. But, sir, right now, remission word was there. But again, there is a provision of section 27 is not there. So here the equal treatment is given not to all the person. If a person is a punishment, so deserve the punishment of lesser quantity, then there is a provision of this small quantity. So this all things are there. So if I'm an addict, take it for granted, sir. Sir, till date, I'm so sorry. I feel myself proud to say till date, I have not allowed even a single tambaku cheese inside my lips, sir. No liquor, nothing it seems, sir. But what I say, if you are addressing or representing some bigger platform, so you should have this thing. So what I say is a big fish or a small fish. Through the small fish only, we can reach to the bigger fish and the biggest fish, sir. Anyway, so I will give an example. I have been appearing at public prosecutor in many cases, sir, where the judges had said, the honorable judges, they say, चोर को तो मैं bail दे सकता हूं, but I will not allow bail to the person who are helping in disposal of the case properties. So here in this very case, I don't remember Michael or some word was there. He is the person who has contacted some person. I need money. It has been provided to them. Then what is this section 27A? It says, 27 says, punishment for financing illicit traffic and harboring the offender. Harboring is keeping a person. Harboring is a word that has been defined in section 52A of the IPC. Logistically, if I help some person, then this is a harboring. And illicit trafficking is defined in section 2, subclause 8, sir. It's a very important Then, sir, this says illicit trafficking in relation to the narcotic drugs and psychotropic drugs means, sir, this is financing directly or indirectly. So, is it not a case of directly or indirectly? If I'm not having sufficient money, ask to my brother, he will help you. So, this is directly financing the person. So, they deserve. So, this is not a case of TRP or something. So, this is something given and making aware the young generation that these are the silent killer. Don't trap into it. Otherwise, you will be in trap of the law, sir. Sir, I put a question: how many persons have applied for 64A? That says, sir, 64A is about immunity from prosecution to addicts voluntarily for the treatment. If you say I'm an addict and I'm coming forward, I'm volunteering myself for my de-addiction, then you will be given immunity. But none of the persons are coming forward. And they are accepting, yes, I have used it, I have been using it. So it has become a very usual and very normal thing in a big party or even a small party, night stay, 15-year boys, 20-year boys, they all are being used. So I would say maybe through this case, the government is giving a lesson, giving a warning at the same time, not do that. Then now, sir, if consumption is available because it is being trafficked, it is being transported, imported or exported. If it is stopped, trafficking is stopped, then where is the narcotic drugs? There can't be any question, even by the stage of imagination, their only availability. So the person would not be able to use it. Then, sir, recently, one judgment of Arif Khan has been discussed. Therein, the safeguard of the accused has also taken care of. That is, Handa Sahab must be knowing is the section 50, sir. So now it has to be compulsorily. The mere stating a person you are entitled for the search before a magistrate or an gazetted officer, it is not sufficient. So these are the safeguard. The government has given the safeguard to a person. If a strict is there, a strict with a strict person. Then, sir, recently, then E. Michael's judgment, that of 2008, E. Michael versus NCB, that very judgment was there. The purity percentage was to be looked into. If the purity percentage is the 10%, then person will be considered to be possessing only 10% of the quantity that has been recovered. But here, now, thereafter, some notification was there by the government in the year 2009 itself. And then it was added note 4. So that very matter was referred to the larger bench, and that had been decided just now. That is the judgment of this Hira Singh's judgment. That says that the entire quantity has to be looked into. So I'm so sorry to say, even I have come across, sometime we hear that the sir recovery to badi moti hui thi, but sir the percentage is 2%, 3% or 10%. That I don't want to say where does it go. Then the report is here, then 3% is a purity, then the person comes directly to this thing. Recently, one FIR has been registered at Delhi. You might have heard or might have read in the newspaper also, okay, the kilos were recovered from the accused, but they have been, now the police has, the top brass has taken the decision to book their own cop, wherein they have reduced, they have shown the recovery of a lesser quantity, and that was a small quantity of 900 grams or something, and they enable the person for the bail as it comes to the small quantity, and they were let off from the police station itself, and the remaining were misappropriated, and now they all are facing the music what they have done, sir. They have been dismissed also by the government directly using their power of Constitution 311B, and they have been dismissed also. So there are things that can be done, and I would say this whole act itself is very, I would say, this is a procedural law, substantive law, and this exhaustive law is there, and comprehensive law is there, and they are doing it. So next, E. Michael has already been done. What we have been discussing about the death punishment. Sir, I have heard a professor of NLU, I just forgot his name. He is working on Project 39A. Sir, I was quite surprised to know when I was interacting with him at the NLU. Sir, in last 20 years, if you forget this 4 accused convicts who have been convicted of the Nirbhaya case, how many persons have been finally executed, this finally hanged, sir? Dhananjay Chatterjee, then Tiger Menon, and this parliament attack. And only 4 or 5 persons have been finally hanged, sir. But if you go by the decision of the trial court, I mean the sessions court, thousands of persons have been awarded the death penalty. But finally, how many persons have been executed? A very few. So here also, I'm so sorry to say, there can't be. But the law is there. Then there are the provisions, even the pardon provisions are there. Then many forums are there where the person can agitate and they keep their word, their own versions, and they can be of there cannot be anything wrong with them, though there are the provisions. Then one judgment, that Barinder Kumar versus State of Himachal Pradesh, wherein the question was referred if IO and the complainant is the same person. So because earlier Megha Singh's judgment was there when the arms was recovered.
They diluted
Right.
it
Now it has been
for the circumstances.
Sir, but the Honorable Supreme Court Coordinate Bench has already decided. Okay, the 3 judges has decided. So ultimately,
It should not be pursued legal.
personally, maybe, sir, I can't say so. But sir, what does say? Okay, if the person has been able to, so there is some miscarriage of justice. If a person who himself has recovered, made the recovery, and he himself proceeded with the investigation, then what we have just started with is the public prosecutor is an agent of justice. We are the friend of the court. So same is the position with the IOJ also, sir. Sir, still I remember Naveen Chand Majethia versus State of Meghalaya, because 2 judgments are there in the name of the Naveen Chand Majethia. One Naveen Chand Majethia versus State of Maharashtra, and another one is the Naveen Chand Majethia versus State of Meghalaya. I had been to Goa High Court Division Bench. Almost 2 years we had been there. So in that very case, it was a peculiar case wherein, sir, it was the state of Meghalaya who has said, yes, sir, we don't have sufficient fund. So it was the complainant who had agreed that I'm ready to finance you. And the investigation was being carried out at Maharashtra. So the maximum part was there of the Maharashtra. So in that very case also, the Honorable Supreme Court has said and reminded that the IOs are, investigating officers are the biggest protector of the innocent. So if an IO has gone ahead with doing something illegality, padding or something, it is being sometime they do. If they have taken the recourse of padding something or introducing something, even forging something to get the conviction, then it is not good. As a public prosecutor, same is the IOJ also. Why I was quite surprised. If it is a complaint case, the law on the charge is if there is a sufficient evidence for conviction, then only charge can be framed. But in case of a police case, if prima facie case is there, if a case has been made up for the strong suspicion, then persons are liable for to be charged. So the bigger responsibility is there, and expectation is there from the government agency. They will perform well, in nice manner, in an independent manner, unbiased manner, and fair manner, and to come out with the investigation, sir. So what I would suggest, that this very law itself, the law is not static, it is dynamic. Every day, the law is being evolved. Our legislation, the legislature is quite, because 52A, if you go by the judgment, sir, this very 52A, this very Mohanlal judgment has come probably in the 2016, I believe. So, but already there is a provision in 1652A that was inserted with effect from 1st May of 2014 by SO number 1183E on 30th of April 2000. That says, notwithstanding anything contained in the Indian Evidence Act or CRPC, every court trying the offence of this act shall treat the inventory the photograph of the narcotic drug, psychotropic substance, controlled substance, and conveyance, and any list of the sample drawn under section 2 and certified by the magistrate as primary evidence in respect of such a, if it is not being used. So this is the wrong with the investigating agency or the prosecution agency. So they have already come out, okay, you take out the sample for the destruction, and this will be as good as the other thing. So the material thing, the material exhibits, or the that was the what you say, the case property. So this case property is nowhere defined either in the CRPC or IPC or the Indian Evidence Act. But you will find the this very reference while we will read the section 60 of the Indian Evidence Act, which says the oral evidence. If the oral evidence refer to some material things, existence of material thing, then court may ask for its production. That is the case property, sir, which is being done in very practical manner. But sir, every time, where is the case property? The further examination of chief is deferred for want of case property. So it should be from the judge. Its production is required. So I would suggest, if it is done in presence of the accused right from the very beginning, and then it can be destroyed. Because rightly pointed out by the Anurag ji, it is being misused also. It is being recycled. Sir, मैं आज भी याद आता है मुझे, कई बार जब दारू जब केन आती थी या प्लास्टिक के पौच जाते थे, तो उससे पूछते थे भाई कहाँ गए वो, फूट गए कैसे, टूट कैसे गए, वो पौचेज खाली क्यों है? सर चूहे पी गए. तो I used to laugh. ठीक है, तो they have been saying सर कि आप चल के देखो थाने में चूहे सही में पीते हैं, तो कुछ चूहे पी जाते हैं और कुछ मैं और नहीं कहूंगा सर. So there are something is already there, sir, inbuilt in the this act is there. If it is followed in a real manner, then there is no fault in the law, and we will be able to just come out with a what Article 47, the directive principle of the state policy to misuse of the drugs, and that can be achieved, sir. So ultimately, it is a Constitution of India which has to be prevailed, and it can be achieved. Its goal can be achieved if we work together, maybe investigating agency, defense counsel, honorable judges, or the media, etc. Thank you very much. And with this word, sir, I would say thank you, and thank you for giving us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Atul.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving such a wonderful speech and planning your opinion in favor of and against the NDPS Act. Okay, it's the beauty of PP. It is the beauty of the public prosecutor that he just coins both the ideas with perfection. But anyway, really, we have pondered on both the assets of the coin as far as the NDPS is concerned. And as you know, when the discussion about the NCB and NDPS is at its peak, particularly after the incident at Mumbai, so much so that the director of NCB, Rakesh Asthana, is languishing in Mumbai. So see the hype it has caught. And I don't know where it will land. But anyway, everyone's eye, every lawmaker's eye is on this incident. We have to learn something out of it. We have to learn something out of it so that we could check it. We could take it to a substantial limit, and so much so that our generation, upcoming generation, is not spoiled, our exchequer is not messed up. So there are lots of things which has to be taken into account before reaching any conclusion. But I'm pretty sure because we have a time limitation in this seminar. In the next webinar, we will be composing of the same, speakers who are here today. And next time, we will be talking on some of the concrete opinion about making it this act better off than now. Now we have the limitation of time. By 6 o'clock, we have to wind up the webinar which is going on, and now we will have a brief presentation on the part of courtkachari.com. So over to courtkachari.com.
Let us briefly explain you about our website. Let me introduce ourselves as one of the leading digital legal platform website known as www.courtkachari.com. Our website aims to create an uncomplicated legal environment where legal professionals and end users can make informed choices with the help of right set of tools and judgments. Our website is much superior and different compared to all other legal websites offering such judgment module. Let me explain some of our salient features of courtkachari.com. You can search over 10 lakh judgments here. You can browse over 14,000 central and state acts here. Our search judgment module is based on Elasticsearch technology and is one of the most accurate and fastest in the country. The accuracy feature allows you to refer through the acts without having to go to a different page. The search bed can be further refined indefinitely, allowing you to keep narrowing your search and get the most desired result. Judgments download, email, bookmark, save your search, and many such functionalities are present here. You can browse and download from our repository of manicured legal formats, legal notices, and court petitions. You can avail our platform to connect with end users. So create your profile so that users can engage you directly through our search lawyers module. You can use our discussions forum to seek directional advice, exchange views on the topics, help others, or simply connect. So discuss while you can. Our website enables you drafting all types of civil and criminal petitions, applications, SLPs to be filed before Honorable District Courts, Honorable High Courts, Honorable Supreme Courts of India, and before all forums including NCLT, NBT, National Consumer Disputes Redressal Commissions, NCDRC, etc. So we feel privileged to announce that we have been recognized by the Silicon India Startup City as one of the best 10 best legal startups in legal services. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let us tell you about the price structure of our website. We have brought 4 plans for you for your convenience in terms of your requirement as well as economy. We have plan 1, plan 2, plan 3, and 4. In plan 1, you can search the judgments of Supreme Court of India, and for the subscription of it, you have to pay 2,000 for a year. Then we have plan 2, in which the subscription fee is 4,000 per annum, in which you can find and search the judgment of Supreme Court of India plus 1 High Court of your choice and requirement. In plan 3, subscription fee per annum is 5,000, wherein you can find and search the judgments of Supreme Court of India and all the High Courts of India. So it's a very comprehensive plan. Now, plan 4, which is the ultimate plan of ours, for which the subscription fee is 9,000 per annum. Under this category, you can search and find the judgments of Supreme Court of India, all the High Courts, and all the tribunals in India. Now let's have a price comparative statement of the price of courtkachari.com as well as other competitors available in India. In plan 1, where you can subscribe the judgment of Supreme Court of India, it's only courtkachari.com dominating this criteria, and there is no competitor in this section. Again, reiterating the same thing as I did last page, and the subscription fee is 2,000 per annum. You can subscribe to the judgment of Supreme Court of India. In the category of plan 2, here there is one competitor emerging out, that is Manupatra. But see the radical difference in the price structure of courtkachari.com and Manupatra. The price of courtkachari.com per annum is 4,000 and that of Manupatra is 7,000, almost double of courtkachari.com, providing the same features to the subscriber. So it is a massive bonanza for the user of courtkachari.com. In plan 3, again, Manu Patra is staying with us as our competitor. There are only two players in this category. But for plan 3, wherein you can subscribe to the judgment of Supreme Court and all the High Courts of India, and only you have to pay 5,000 to courtkachari.com. But see, sky-scraping price of Manu Patra, it's 18,000 or more than 300% from courtkachari.com. So this is a big taxation on the part of Manu Patra being important to the subscriber. Now, coming to plan 4. Now, here we have one more competitor emerging out, and that competitor is none other than SSC Online. But in this category of plan 4, as I have briefed in my last case, wherein you can subscribe and find the judgments of Supreme Court, all the High Courts and Tribunals of India. For the subscription of courtkachari.com, are paying 9,000 a year. Very moderate price, very affordable and viable. But see, the price of Manu Patra has 26,000, beyond all the imagination. And it is 26,000 you have to pay to Patra for the same kind of subscription, for which you are paying 9,000 to courtkachari.com. And SSC Online, no lesser than the Manu Patra. It's a very marginal lower than the Manu Patra, giving same scheme at the rate of 24,000. So this is all about the price structure of digital legal research platforms in India. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to tell you, and we are feeling very excited to say that we are going to start a scholarship program for the talented and poor students in the coming years. And as part of our legal education program, we are planning an ambitious plan to work with all legal institutions in India. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. So now we are, moving towards the end of the webinar today. And last but not the least, we have with us a very young and dynamic speaker. I am a fast emerging advocate in our country, in Ms. Sanam Siddiqui. She is requested to give a speech, and virtually at the end, she will give the vote of thanks as well. So Sanamji, please take on.
So thank you so much for having me on Court Kachari and everybody else. It was really interesting. Well, I have a different take on this act, and I won't really give a speech. I'll just I'll put my take across the table so that maybe we have something to think about, at home. So now this has also been taken out into the media and brought in the forefront that the maximum number of arrests that get made under the NDPS Act are for peddlers and users, not big suppliers. So, that makes it difficult to follow the reasoning. If we want to make India, or if we believe that putting users in jail is going to make a drug-free India, that's not possible, because it's the same thing as saying that, for suicide, instead of getting the person the help that he needs, you put that person in prison. So there's a reason that the rest of the world is decriminalizing at least possession and consumption of marijuana or other such drugs which don't really do much. Yes, there is a reason that the suppliers need to get caught. He might be, giving drugs like heroin to maybe a school-going child or a college-going child or a professor. That is definitely against the public. But what is the worst thing that can happen for somebody who's an addict? He overdoses and he dies. It's not even like a gun. It's not that he decides one day, I'll take the gun and start shooting everybody in school. No, the worst that a person can do, and that's not even something that can happen on marijuana. You can't overdose and die. Therefore, for something like this, under the act, to get jail imprisonment from 1 year to 10 years for consumption doesn't seem to me it's not a solution to the problems, because the solution is to punish the people who are supplying these drugs and not the people who are utilizing or using these drugs. Because let's think about it from another point of view. Let's say a person is driving really fast, negligent, negligent driving, rash driving. Now, this person may kill somebody on the road. However, that person will probably get punishment up to maximum 1 year. So this gives, to me, this seems like it's disproportionate punishment for two acts, and it's up to you guys to decide which is worse. Is it worse to take a overdose and die, or is it worse to kill somebody on the street because you do not drive well, because you are endangering other people's lives? So to me, that is the reason that it's good, according to me, that this NDPS Act is coming to the forelight, because people need to be talking about this. They need to understand, what exactly do you want from the act? Is it not absurd that for things such as consuming narcotics or trying to commit suicide, you criminalize that person? Clearly, that person must be going through many issues in life, which is why they're taking these kind of steps. So these are it's not just disproportionate, but it doesn't really do anything to help or to come up with a solution. In fact, the rest of the world is decriminalizing because of the fact that marijuana has medical benefits. And in India, we're criminalizing not the sellers, but the users. So, for example, Vidhi Legal, it's a firm in Mumbai, I believe, that a research firm in Mumbai that has stated that 59% of people arrested under NDPS in 2018 were for personal use. They were not suppliers. So that means that 59% of our country's economic plus legal plus police officers, brain power, everything was actually being utilized for people running after consumers. And in those cases, apparently 97 to 98% of those cases were punished as drug users. That doesn't help traffickers. That doesn't help in curbing trafficking. And it also doesn't help in anyone curbing a problem youth, right? If a youth is going through issues that he's being or she's being forced into, or, they have no choice, but everybody knows it's destabilizing the youth, sure. But would it actually help them to put them in jail instead? I don't think so. And the same reason, I don't think that suicide should be criminalized either, because these are people who need help. They need to be medicated. They need to go talk to maybe therapists. They don't need to be put in prison. And that's all I'd like to leave you with, because it's now 6 o'clock and I had a wonderful time listening to everybody else. I could go on and on as well, but I believe what I wanted to give across came across. So thank you so much, everybody, for being with us today. And thank you so much, Court Kachari and Dr. Anand, for having me here today.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you quite a lot for having shown a little bit of compassion towards, I won't say trafficker or peddler, but anyway, you have shown the compassionate face towards it. But then we have to ensure that we don't reach to a kind of extent where Brazil and Mexico is currently existing. India is such a big country and it's a global issue. It is not a national phenomenon. It is not an Indian phenomenon. It's a global issue. And in every country, in one or another way, it is being curved down. And we have in India, with some time, pursue the political face towards handling this issue, sometimes misuse it. So in that way, our lawmakers has to rise to the occasion in such a way that we
I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to add one thing because of what you were saying. We know that in the United States, legalization of marijuana has really been on the rise. However, the crime statistics do not show that its legalization has led to increased levels of crime. In fact, it shows that it's actually decreased. Similarly, in India, we don't have these kind of usages for alcohol or cigarettes. But we all know that actually alcohol and cigarettes are much worse for people than maybe, like bhang, maybe drugs like bhang or marijuana. So I'm just saying that it's to balance. Everybody needs to balance what is worse and what exactly are you trying to enforce. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you have to have a very comprehensive act, about it. There is no doubt about it. Undeniably, we need to have a very comprehensive act. And as for America, I'm telling you, the Federal Investigation Agency, they sometimes, cry out, for against this kind of incident going over there. But anyway, in India, we have to take the cue from what has happened, what is happening. We have to make it better than what it is right now. There is no need. We have this room of improvement in it. And definitely the scholars like Dr. R.K. Anand, Sri R.K. Handa, Dr. Anurag, and Mr. Atul, we have found it so nicely. It is eye-opening. I'm telling you, it is eye-opening. And I'm pretty sure it has given us the encouragement to continue this session for further, in days to come as well. So thank you. And thanks a great deal from the courtkachari.com to all the delegates who have participated in this wonderful webinar. Thank you.
I would say this the drug is very difficult to curb because the drug money influenced the election globally.
You have laid your hand on the most delicate issue. I'm telling you.
I will not say in this country, but globally it influenced the elections, and everybody wants the money that time, and these are the only source from where they get it in the bulk.
See, in 90% of the houses, there is, the drug addict in one other way. I'm telling you, you have to determine the limitation for it. But the thing is that virtually it is eating up the soul of the country.
We are playing at the life with the innocent peoples for the benefit of the few.
Yeah. So, and secondly, the way our checker is being drained out, that too requires our attention to be given. But anyway, we have done the job we were supposed to in this webinar, and thanks a lot to all the participants. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ranjit, for calling us on the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.